All right. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to LAFB Live Afternoon Edition, Recap Edition, with some of these beautiful faces at the LA Football Network. So I'll just introduce, we're 5 deep. We're 5 wide in here. Great Chargers went over the Chiefs. Huge Rams went over the Bucs. We're going to get all into it. Plus UCLA won, but we don't got to talk about that. It's all good. But first, let me start. You're both here, so I can't really call one of you better half. Usually when only one's apart, I say the better half, but both hosts of Chargers Unleashed are with us. So I'll start with Dan. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Woo! Ryan, this is a great day to be an LA sports fan. I am doing fantastic. Chargers got the dub at Arrowhead. Let's talk about it. Let's go.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into with that. Sticking with the Chargers, the other half of Chargers Unleashed, Hugh himself, Jake Hefner. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
What's happening, man? I mean, I definitely can't. I can never match Dan's optimism or his intensity. I know he's on cloud 9 right now, considering that he picked the Chargers to win the game. I did not, obviously, but wow! I mean, what a surprise! What a game! This was an awesome afternoon for Los Angeles football.
I think Dan was one of the few then that picked them to win. So well done, sir. Good for you. So on our Rams side now, after a dominant win for that, we got Josh Kollack, covers the Rams for LAFB Network writing wise. And then if you want to announce it, we can announce it right now. I'll let you decide what you're going to be doing else. But first of all, what's going on, man? What's happening?
I'm good, man. Enjoying this victory today. Early season heavyweight title fight, and the Rams came out on top.
Yeah, with a couple of haymakers too. It looked good.
Yeah.
Also on the Rams side, our beat writer, he was at training camp all offseason. The great Ryan Anderson, looking fresh with the denim and the nice hair. What's going on, man? How you doing? And of course, he froze right when we announced him. So
we're live.
Yeah, he'll be back in here. Don't worry. There we go.
There he is.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm back. Great win.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Enough said. So, well, guys, let's get into it.
I don't know where we are.
Yeah, recapping these games should be a lot of fun. We're going to try to do this every week after the Chargers and Rams games, just so we can get into it and talk to all of you. So drop us some comments. We already got a lot of Chargers people jumping in here. So let's start with the Chargers game, since that was the morning game against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Dan, you're fired up. Let's just toss to you. I don't need to mediate and ask questions. We're all hosting here and do our own thing. So let's just toss to you. You get chatting and just tell us how good you're feeling right now.
Oh, man, I am feeling great. Look, we talked about all week. This was a down week for the Chargers after a horrific loss to the Cowboys. We needed it. Our hearts were sunk. And, man, did they deliver. Chargers get the victory. 4 turnovers by this Brandon Staley defense, which I know you Rams folks know a lot about. Herbert literally outdueled Patrick Mahomes. We saw play after play after play, resiliency at its finest. Chargers found a way to get the victory in Arrowhead. And the Chiefs, miraculously, are now last place in the division and 1-2. Optimism in full tilt for Chargers Nation. Chargers Twitter was going crazy. All the receipts were kept by the Chargers for everyone who said they were going to lose. Came out of Arrowhead with a dub. I can't think of a bigger win than I've seen for this team than this one. Just because of like the new era, the new culture, the new quarterback, the new coach, the new stadium. Mm-hmm. Like, it's big. This is a big one. Cloud 9 for me is an understatement. Biggest win that I can remember, especially considering the circumstances.
Yeah, before I toss it to you, Jake, I talked after week 1. I can't remember if it was with one of you guys or not, or just on my show, but when they beat Washington and the way they won, running the clock out with 6 minutes, and it was like another classic Chargers game, but they finished it not Chargers like they finished it, and that's what they preached all offseason. And Brandon says they were going to finish games and do this and that, and then this one started having that feel again. They taking a 14-3 lead at half, and everyone was posting pictures of what it was last year, 14-6 at half. Like, oh, this is what happened. Remember what happens in the second half with this team? It's like, well, things are different now. There's a new sheriff in town on the sidelines. You got Justin Herbert's in his second year, and had some trials and tribulations throughout the game, had some adversity, but they bounced back from it. And I just was ecstatic with the way they performed. So, Jake, what were your thoughts on the overall game?
I mean, what can you say from how the whole turnout of this game, especially from the second half on, you just felt like, again, the Chargers definitely won the turnover battle in the first half. And you're like, okay, this defense is coming out swinging, and Kansas City's having more of the troubles the way that they had in Baltimore. But then you look at the missed opportunities that they had. Jalen Guyton apparently needed, proper stamp and postage and the package gift wrap in order for him to catch that wide open pass in the end zone that he should have came down with it that left 7 points off the board, to where the Chargers could have been going in at least 21-3 in halftime. And you knew it was coming. You knew that the Chiefs were going to be bringing it in the second half. And sure as hell they did. The Chargers just seemed completely off at the beginning of that third quarter. And the Chiefs just looked like they could do whatever they wanted to do. And then they started bringing their defensive pressures. And it didn't seem like the Chargers were able to get anything going offensively. But then the fourth quarter hit. Mm-hmm. And something happened in the fourth quarter where the Chargers offense just had enough of Patrick Mahomes going up and down the field on him. Then they needed to respond, and they did. And you thought when they did it with 2:15 left, you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, well, I even texted Dan. I said, well, this game's over. This is Patrick Mahomes with his timeouts left, with the 2-minute warning left. He's going to go down and clinch this thing. And I really don't know either if Mahomes was intending to throw that ball out of bounds when Alohi Gilman ended up coming down with that interception, or if the wind took it, or what happened. But
don't give him the doubt. It was just a bad throw.
I mean, whatever it was, this is historically a game that the Chargers just always will find a way to lose, even though the fact that they were great in the turnover ratio. 4 turnovers to the Chiefs offense to none this game. Yeah. They stopped the turnovers. Justin Herbert looked amazing. Anybody that is out there saying that he is experiencing a sophomore slump, stop it. But the Chargers definitely did continue to blow opportunities to put more points on the board. Another illegal shift that took 7 points off the board that could have been a complete difference maker. So it was a back and forth war. We both knew, Dan and I knew, that we expected that it was going to take 30 points or more to beat the Chiefs in this one. But to keep the Chiefs at 24 points, I mean, that's insane. That's nuts. So the way that the Chargers won this game, yes, it felt different. Brandon Staley has shown in the first 3 weeks that his cojones have dropped from the very get-go, and he goes out to win. I love it. I love it.
4th and 4, 4th and 4, 4th and 9, goes for it every time. I mean, I know Rams fans are very familiar with Brandon Staley, comes from the Rams, Sean McVeigh. Like, I'm telling you, as a Chargers fan and covering this team, like, Chargers fans are not used to that type of coaching, like, advantages that we're seeing these Sundays. Like, it's just not normal for us. So we're trying to figure out, like, how to respond and, like, should we put our trust in them? It's so weird.
Yeah. The dude was born with wrecking balls, I think. Just born with it. Josh, I should have asked you beforehand, so sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but did you catch any of this Chargers game? I know you're here to mainly talk with the Rams side, but did you catch any of it?
So I was doing some things in between, but I saw some of the big plays. I saw Joey Bosa sack Mahomes, and I got to see the final drives and everything like that. So it was a great win. I was pulling for the Chargers all the way. So
just talk, since you know Brandon Staley at least, so we'll get you in here, and then Ryan, I'll get you in too. Talk about Brandon Staley and what we talk all the time about what he means as a coach and what he does for this Chargers team. But why, to you, when you see that, is it not surprising? Because I see it and I'm like, this isn't surprising. They're going to adjust at halftime. They're going to clamp down in the second half. Yeah. It's a bend but don't break defense. They're going to make big plays when they need to, and it's trusting your guys. So talk a little bit more about Staley and just how good of an actual coach he is.
I mean, Staley's an amazing coach. I was so bummed when he left the Rams. And I mean, I'm happy to see him be successful with the other LA team though. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing when he was first hired, because a lot of people didn't really know who he was or didn't think that was a good hire. And the first thing that I remember was people talking about the energy he brought, and how it really matched McVeigh's energy. And I always thought that was something that's got to be pretty difficult because he's a pretty energetic guy.
Yeah.
And
we'll get to later.
I think Staley's just one of those guys. He knows how to coach players. He knows how to reach guys in different ways because every player needs something a little bit different. and he finds a way to motivate those guys to just play balls to the walls for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he does, and he's passionate about it. Dan, you called me. You were fired up about this defense specifically and about Chargers Twitter. And I say all the time, and I mean this with respect, but it's true. Every fan base is the same. Like every fan base has their implosions. You can be, I mean, we see it on Rams Twitter where they're 3-0 now, dominating, and at some points in the game, they're talking about Rams having the worst defense in the NFL. So it happens a lot. But talk to us about what was going on in your mind, because you called me and I thought you were going to have a conniption fit talking down these Chargers fans about this defense and not putting the blame on it no more. Talk to me.
Oh my God. Okay, so Jake probably knows this too well. Like there are some times where I try to be optimistic and I try to be kind and cordial and gentle to the fan base whenever they might be getting a little over their skis. But today was a little crazy. Like Chargers Twitter, all of a sudden 3 turnovers caused by this defense. All of a sudden Chargers Twitter is up in flames yelling at their defense as if it's their fault that the Chargers haven't scored enough. And I'm sitting here watching and I'm like, Brandon Staley in this defense just got 3 turnovers. Like, against the Chiefs, you have 3-0. And then it becomes 4-0. And you're hearing everybody say, oh, the Chargers need to have better defense. Their run defense is terrible. We're not giving enough. Like, dude. Like, you gave up 24 to Mahomes, and you did exactly what your game plan was. Bend but don't break. Make him cause mistakes. You did exactly what you wanted, and you're still pissed off. Like, let it go. I get you gave up a lot on the running game. You won the game. Your defense did everything you wanted it to do, and your offense scored 30. The entire keys to success, check all the way through. Like, I get it. Like, yes, there are areas to improve, but like as soon as there was some adversity, as soon as the Chargers didn't get everything going their way, it seemed as though this fan base is just like, oh my gosh, we suck. And like, imagine if that's how the players reacted when adversity hit. Like, everything's fine and dandy when you're doing well, but as soon as something goes bad, you're like, oh crap, we suck, we're the worst, here we go again. Like, that's a different team. And when I saw that happen today, I was like, no, this is not happening on my watch, at least in my feed. And so, in short, defense was spectacular today. They did exactly what you could have asked for. Did they give up some yards and points? Yes, but they did not give up 30, and the offense came to play, got the job done.
Look at Sheriff Wolkenstein reining in Chargers Twitter, reining them in. But it's true,
I know, Jake, man. You're not used to this part of me. I'm usually kind of like the calm, cool, collective, but man, something got me.
Yeah, no, you're aggressive, man, and but you have to collectively understand. Look at the flip side of things. Look at the way things went for the Rams today. I mean, you look at that game, and that game was not as close as the final score is really depicted as. Mm-hmm. That's the type of game that, especially when the Chargers win a turnover battle 4-0, that they would expect from this team with the potential of this offense, and especially going against Kansas City that can basically just score blindfolded whenever they want to. That's what they expect. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. And I'm sure that when you turn it over 4 times and you only end up getting points off of one of the turnovers, that's where a lot of the gripe comes in. So again, you look at the flip side of things with the way that the Rams are playing against the team that Tom Brady has, Super Bowl champs, and the way that they came out today. Yeah, that's what you'd like to see. But I get it, Dan. You have to deal with some adversity. And at the end of the day, when this Chargers fan base who has suffered from watching their teams give up so many games, especially in 1-score differentials, yeah, they're going to be a little bit emotional. And these are the type of feelings that are going to start flying all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, 2 things on that. And one, when you compare to the Rams are a Super Bowl favorite. The Chargers are in, I don't want to say rebuild mode, but they're rebuilding their culture. Like we expect them to be much better than last year. I predicted them to be a playoff team, but this isn't like, I mean, do they have potentially the talent to make the Super Bowl? I mean, maybe. I think they've looked pretty good 3 weeks in, but there's still a lot of growing pains to go through. So the expectations, everyone has a certain expectation. I think everyone's pretty even keeled. Like, yeah, we think they're going to be improved. We think there's going to be issues. But then also when any of those issues happen, it's like, scrap it, fire everyone. This is terrible. What are you doing? It's like, well, no, we knew this was going to happen. Like, we all knew there were going to be some growing pains. And then secondly, it's like everyone forgot the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl for the last 2 years, have the most dominant offense in the NFL, have the best quarterback in the NFL, has Travis Kelce, have Tyreek Hill. Like, at some point they're going to get theirs. They're going to get some points. You can't stop them forever. It's not like they're playing the New York freaking Jets with Zach Wilson that's going to throw 4 picks a game. Like, if that was happening, then yes, Chargers Twitter, implode, please, by all means. Because if they give up those kind of drives to the Jets, then we have a serious problem. But to the Chiefs, I don't have a problem with it. It wasn't like they were just folding. It was, they were giving up methodical drives. They're daring them to run the football because the Chiefs have been very poor running the football. And they ran it pretty well against them. So it's something to improve upon. But overall, they clamped down when they needed to. Only 24 points. The turnovers, again, I saw someone say, and I don't even know who it is, and if even if I knew I'm not gonna put this person on blast, but saw someone say like, well, we're lucky we got the 4 turnovers because otherwise it wouldn't be the same. It's like there's some luck in turnovers. These are all forced turnovers, and you can tell that was a coaching thing. Like if you watch every tackle, there was 3 to 4 guys all punching at the football, which is a definite coaching in practice, an emphasis on a certain type of tackling drill. And it came out and it showed. So,
and those interceptions we got, those are not picked off a year ago. Asante Samuel Jr. caught that, and that was like spread out. Like Alohi Gilman drops that pass a year ago. Like it's just how it went last year. And like we would force a fumble, and then we wouldn't fall on it. Like when people said like, "Oh, we gifted you a victory," I'm like, "You didn't gift us anything."
Oh no!
And by us, I mean the team.
My particular favorite is the Chiefs fan who actually came out. I can't remember who it was, but he basically said, "We beat ourselves. Justin Herbert did nothing to defeat us." Like, bro, your offense turned it over 4 times. At that point in time, it's up to Herbert to capitalize on it, and he did, and he outplayed your godlike quarterback. So, take a break and take the L where it's needed.
Beating yourself is multiple illegal shift penalties. That's beating yourself.
We did that too.
We know all about that. Come on now. We know all about that. We are now rewriting the book on what illegal shift means, on what a forward pass means, and what a sack means in the NFL.
And that's 3 straight weeks we have had touchdowns called back due to penalties. Like
all right, let me ask,
touchdowns.
Before I get Ryan in here, because sorry, Ryan, you're just sitting there looking pretty with the denim. So we'll get you in here, I promise.
I'm cutting out all the time too, so I don't.
Yeah, before I get you in, because I want to get your comments on this game before we go to the Rams, but to Dan and Jake again, I'm curious your thoughts, because the illegal shift, I think a lot of people don't fully understand. Like obviously, I think the broadcast, if you watched it, kind of Tony Romo explained it, like you can't have 2 guys moving at the same time. Now, there's a lot of intricacies to go into that. Every player has a role and knows where they're supposed to be at a certain time. To me, and I just like to say it how I see it. I'm not putting up blame or being too critical, I don't think. But to me, a lot of these illegal shifts are actually on the quarterback, on Justin Herbert. Like he has to know when guys need to be set before he can snap the football, when to put a guy in motion, when another guy's still moving or getting set up. That's on the quarterback. And that's something he's going to learn. It's not like this is egregious, like, oh man, we're in trouble here. But no one's really said anything about like, oh, it's on Justin Herbert. They've all said like, oh, it's a coaching issue or this or that. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Jake, I'll throw to you first.
I mean, it's just unfortunate that you've seen it this much in a short amount of time. You go back to the one that was called in the Dallas game. I personally thought that was a hell of a lot worse than what we saw today. I can understand people making a case for that, much like Tony Romo described today, as far as having the 2 guys move, and he broke that down really well, and that's kind of clear as day. And yeah, Ryan, to your point, Justin Herbert needs to know, as far as that point goes, the timing aspect of what to snap it. So he has a hand in it too, but. Just doing these at the most critical points of the game, especially against a team like Kansas City, where you can't make these type of mistakes. And this is historical for the Chargers, that when you see the momentum start to happen between the 20s and you're getting to that point where you need to score, it's always at that one point where one penalty, that even if it's first down, second down, whatever, the next 2 downs, the wheels are going to fall off in some form or fashion, because it's always the one thing that just takes the air out of the sails. So historically, it's been backbreaking for the Chargers. Thankfully, they were able to overcome those things today.
I mean, look, the illegal shift was, I don't remember the stats, but I think last year was called like 20-something times or 30-something times total the entire year across all 32 teams across 17 weeks. Yes. Wow. And the Chargers have had 3 of them called on them in 2 weeks. Like, what are the odds of that? Now, yes.
All on touchdowns.
Justin Herbert does have some blame here. Like, he needs to learn to kind of eye those guys who should be stopped before snapping it. But, like, are we really calling these this many times against Chargers? Like, I feel like the refs just like, all right, Justin Herbert, like he did it last week. Let's just double check that he's doing it this week too. Like, but at the end of the day, like a rule's a rule. And like, that's kind of like elementary stuff that like you need to know about. Like, you got to be set. Like, you can't have multiple guys run around like that. So it's unfortunate. And yes, I agree. Like, that is becoming like the thing that shall not be named. Like, I want to hear the word illegal shift one more time, like the entire year. But
you'll hear it.
Look, at the end of the day, okay, pessimist. At the end of the day, the Chargers got the job done. Like, by hell or by high water, they escaped Kansas City with the victory, are 2-1, and they beat Mahomes and Justin Herbert, like, in the spotlight. Like, put his name out there, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, the dude is nails, and we are so fortunate to be able to have him as our starting quarterback and to just watch him just go down the field. I mean, the sky's the limit for this team, and you got to hand it to like these players, like Derwin James coming off injury, Drew Tranquil coming off injury. You see the impact of these guys. Yeah, I mean, Joey Bosa had an unbelievable game on one foot. Like, unreal the impact that these guys are bringing. And then the unsung heroes, Jake and I talked about all offseason. The one thing I love about a Brandon Staley defense, and all of you covering the Rams could talk about this for days probably, is yes, like it does take the Jalen Ramsey and the Aaron Donald. Like, you need to have those great players. But this scheme allows for the other guys to win for you just as much as the top guys. Like a Tavon Campbell, like no one wanted Tavon Campbell to be on this team. All of these guys are balling out, and it goes from top to bottom of the roster. And that's one of the challenges the Chargers have had in the past. It has always been like the gap between the top tier and the depth that has been so drastic. Chargers now have a team win, a team identity, and the team is winning as a team. You heard Coach Staley talk about it at the press conference. Mm-hmm. It's a good time to be a Chargers fan. Grateful for Brandon Staley. He has completely changed the culture of this team.
Oh, it's beautiful. Love that guy. Ryan, what did you, again, I should have asked you guys beforehand, did you catch this Chargers game before the Rams game?
I saw a little bit of the first half and caught the highlights afterwards. My one big question for you guys that have watched it all the way through was Mahomes seemed to get injured right before the half. Did that seem to affect him at all in those turnovers or the rest of the game? Do you feel like?
I'm not sure because he was still able to. It felt like he was able to put the ball still wherever he wanted. After that, Dan had retweeted something about that his shoulder was getting looked at on the sidelines after he had taken a hit from Bosa, but I don't think that it affected him that much. But that's why I brought into question that final interception that he threw. I'm not sure if it just sailed on him, if the weather, because the wind was ripping around everyone, if that had something to do with it. But yeah, Mahomes for the most part. I mean, yeah, he took a hit, but I think that he still remained, pretty accurate throughout the day. He completed Herbert completed one more pass than he did. So I think both quarterbacks were doing just fine.
Yeah, and I just love watching the Staley defense when he was with the Rams, and I'm glad to see he's doing a really good job with you guys over there at the Chargers. The one big thing that always stood out to me with the Rams was his adjustments going into the second half. And you can see that again today. I'm sure you guys have already talked about it. But the great news is he continues to make those adjustments week to week too. So you guys have that to look forward to as well. And I just love to see that teams step up in a division like yours where Mahomes is kind of running away with it. And now they're at the bottom of the division now that they're not
last place, baby. Last place.
Just like we all predicted.
Chiefs at 4.
I actually predicted that.
Nice. And Ryan, I have to say, everything that you're saying about second half adjustments right now, we don't know what the hell you're talking about because we don't know we haven't known what second half adjustments have been for this team for at least a year and a half. So I love hearing the fact of second half adjustments, and the fact that it's actually coming true is fantastic.
I know you guys have Sean McVeigh and have had Brandon Staley where like you guys are known for that kind of stuff, but like that is literally the opposite of what Chargers fans have lived with for the past like 5 to 10 years. Like 0 adjustments, cover 3 all the time, stupid coaching, no execution, beat our like every single year. And so Chargers fans just don't know what to do. It's just like all those memes, like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
You guys were talking about Chargers Twitter earlier about going crazy, when they were making some mistakes. Even the Rams Twitter, no matter how good we were looking in that first quarter, everybody was freaking out because nothing was connecting. Score was 0-0 for that entire first quarter, and nobody could handle it because they're still thinking we've got Goff back there, and we've got a better quarterback now, and Stafford proved that today.
Oh yeah,
I will say last thing I will say about this game. You always know when the Chargers are doing well when I do not receive any negative text from Jake Hefner. Like normally within like 10 minutes, you start just seeing not necessarily expletives, but just venom coming from Jake. About, well, here we go. Here we're going to lose. And it was weird. This week, I got literally 0 texts from Jake. And I think at one point we talked, he's like, don't say it. Don't say it. And I was like, I'm not saying a damn thing.
Dan calls me up at halftime when it's 14-3 after the 3 turnovers. I'm like, dude, don't call me to jinx me, man. Don't do it. The only text message I sent to Dan today was at 2:15 when the Chiefs got the ball back. And like many of us figured, this game's over. Mahomes is just going to march down the field with 1 timeout left and the 2-minute warning and figure out a way to win this game, and the Chargers are going to choke it away again. And I texted Dan. I said, game over. That's it. I'll admit it. I said it. But and then literally 2 minutes later, when the interception's thrown, I literally said, what the expletive is going on? So I don't know. Okay. I don't recognize this team.
It's always a wild ride.
Yes.
2 last things before we go to the Rams game. And Jake, I think you said you may have had to split, so you can split if you need to after this, or if you want to hang out and talk Rams too, that'd be awesome. But Dan, hopefully you'll stick around. But so 2 last things. First off, when the Chargers to end the game, they're moving the ball down. They go for it on the 4th and 4 false start, whatever it was. They go for it on 4th and 9, which was, we already talked about Staley's cojones and just awesome. And love that mentality. They go down, they get down to the, whatever it was, 4-yard line. They have timeouts. There's like 50 seconds left. And Romo talked about this on the thing. Like, well, they probably should have like kneeled it twice, forced KC to use their timeout, then done a jump ball situation. If they don't get the touchdown, kick the field goal basically as time expires. I was in the mentality like, you know what, just go get the touchdown, like win it that way. But, what were your guys' thoughts on that? Because it definitely is an interesting concept, the fact that they could have essentially run the clock down and kick the field goal as time expired. Instead, they just go for the juggernaut right there, but then they missed the extra point, which added that much more drama to it. So, Dan, do you think it was right what they did, or do you think it was a little bit too hasty of Staley? Like, what were you thinking in that moment?
Well, and just to clarify, so the call was to run it, and Justin Herbert after the game had said, I think Mike Williams had said after the game that Justin Herbert looked to Mike Williams and told him to look for the fade, and he ended up audibling out of the run and threw the fade. So that was all on Justin Herbert to make that adjustment. Now, you can say Chargers could have just kneeled it, ran it, and then kicked the field goal at the end. The Chargers missed 2 extra points today. It's a crazy windy stadium. Like, I am not trusting our kicker right now. So as much as, yes, you would want to see us kick a 18-yard field goal to win it, but like, I'm way more confident in Mike Williams and Justin Herbert than I am of our kicker right now. So hindsight is 2020. It worked out. But anytime you give Patrick Mahomes any time with the ball at the end of the game, like, you get nervous. And I would imagine, I don't know, Jake, what do you think? 99% of Chargers Twitter was like, oh, we're going to find a way to lose this? This is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I would, Ryan, to your point, I wasn't actually even thinking about that type of scenario. Even when Mike Williams had caught the touchdown, I was just thinking about points at that point in time to say, okay, I got confidence in my defense now. You still have 1 timeout, but 32 seconds left. There's possible. At least you've made it tough for the fact that they have to go down and they have to put 7 in the end zone in that time frame. But yeah, to Tony Romo's point, I get it. Methodically, you're thinking like, okay, to never give Mahomes any opportunity at all. You still had your 3 timeouts, so you could manage the game the way that you wanted to. You could, force them into taking their last one. You control the clock basically at that point in time. So if you're to take it down to the 1 second mark, and whether you're going to be throwing a fade to the end zone or you're going to be in an opportunity to kick the field goal, you essentially just give yourself more opportunities to get points on the board. I get it. But at the same time, to Dan's point, I don't trust a Chargers kicker wherever they're kicking the field goal from. I don't care if it's from the 1 yard line at this point. That's how badly the confidence is. Even with Tristan Vizcaino winning the kicking job over Michael Badgley, it still doesn't give you any confidence. You still hold your breath anytime a Chargers kicker goes up to kick one of these things. And in a windy stadium, the way that was going, yeah, to Dan's point, give me Mike Williams over Vizcaino right now, because that's going to win you the ball game.
Yeah, and they did. So, it is what it is. I think people will read into that, and it was interesting when it happened, but I think it worked out. So then last thing, and this I just thought, I don't know exactly when he tweeted it, so obviously he's eating his words, but Michael Fabiano from NFL Network at one point tweeted, Chargers are the worst coached team in the NFL right now. And I don't know what
today?
It was today. You guys didn't see this?
No.
Oh my. Yeah, Michael Fabiano, who I respect, and I'm not saying I don't respect him anymore now, but literally tweeted the Chargers, the worst team in the NFL. I don't know if it was with the 4th and 9 call or what, but I was like, is this guy watching the same game?
I'm just seeing it right now. Yeah.
For the last 5 years?
That's as straightforward as it was, Dan. I'm reading it right now. The Chargers have to be the worst coached NFL team. So this was 4 hours ago. So that seems about the right time that it was towards the tail end of the Chargers game. But I mean, what for? What for?
I honestly don't know how you can look at that game and say they were poorly coached.
Unless he's still thinking that Anthony Lynn is, coaching this game. I mean, I don't see a 2020 stamp on that tweet, or if that just happened to be retweeted from that time frame. But there was nothing that Brandon Staley did that I disagreed with in this game. I mean, remember when he first brought Vizcaino to what we thought he was going to be kicking the field goal, and then he switched decisions. Remember, it was 4th and 4 at that time. And then there was the false start, and then it turned into 4th and 9. And still said, okay, well, made it a little bit tougher on ourselves, but we still got to do it. And you did it. And credit to the Chargers, they were able to draw a defensive pass interference penalty, which converted. And you were able to matriculate down the field and still put it in the end zone. So, come on, man. The New York Jets with Adam Gase. Give me a break. You're really going to say something like that? I mean, I know even Adam Gase isn't even the head coach of the team anymore, but you're really going to say that after 3 weeks for a Brandon Staley-led football team and say that the Chargers are the most worst coached team in the NFL? Give me a break.
Yeah, and they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
I just saw that and I was like, what? Like,
he was probably had the evergreen tweet just ready to go from last year, forgot to cancel it once Anthony Lynn was fired. I'm trying to give him benefit of the doubt, but that's a bad look. Tell me you didn't watch the Chargers game without actually telling me you didn't watch the Chargers game.
Yeah,
that's a way to do it.
There's how it goes. Kyle, yeah, that's the whole NFL for you. Everyone is all on Mahomes, which, rightfully so. The dude's a baller, but he does do things that I try to criticize more than others. So, it seems like every mistake Mahomes makes is it wasn't really his fault. And then any just screen pass is oh my gosh, what a beautiful, it's like the dude threw a screen pass. How many air yards is he actually doing? So anyway, all right, let's get into this Rams game now. So Jake, Dan, if you got to run, great. Love you to stick around though and chat with us if you can, but
I unfortunately do have to jump. I would love to stay on here and talk Rams because I watched that entire game, and Rams fans have a hell of a lot to be excited about right now. 3-0 and a win like that's a staple. So if people weren't believing in Matthew Stafford before, you need to start paying attention now because
yeah. Jake, before you go, what are you drinking over there?
Something that you're very familiar with, Ryan. It's a little Brewery X Slap and Tickled, no doubt, of course. I still have the remainder of the case left over for the draft party, so it's definitely lasting me a very long time. Yeah, I still have to pick up my second round of cases for me. I think Dan has it at this point. So, but yeah, they're lasting me well.
There you go. Okay, well, good seeing you, brother. As always, glad to see you got a little a burn down in Hawaii. And
yep, that's definitely.
We'll talk again soon. Everyone, look for the next news on the beach. Jake, all right.
All right, bye guys.
All right, guys. So this Rams game. I mean, what a great performance. Let me just, I opened it up in the beginning with Dan and Jake. Josh, I'll toss you first. Just what was your just initial reaction to this dominant performance? Like what was going through your mind as you watched this game and saw the final score?
Oh man, it wasn't nearly as close as what the score says. I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway is that Tom Brady, his stat line looks decent, but it really wasn't all that. They couldn't get the run game going whatsoever on us, which is huge for this defense. And I mean, it just at no point was I concerned that the Rams were gonna lose this game once they got out ahead. And then towards the end of the game, you're literally just sitting there thinking like there's no way they come back. And that's rare with Tom Brady.
It felt like they just had a stranglehold from the get. Ryan, what were your thoughts of this one? Because it looked good from start to I mean, not really from start, but from like 9 minutes into the first quarter to finish.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thought is this offense looks way better than I thought it was. I think, I mean, putting up a big score on this defense was huge for this team, and all the stars on the offense were making big plays. I mean, you're spreading around. You got Deshaun, Cooper Kupp, a little bit to Robert Woods, Van Jefferson even got a few touches that made a big impact. So on the offensive side, it's really hard to argue that they're an elite team.
Oh yeah. Before we keep going, Dan, I got to ask you, like, and I'm not saying this is bad. Do you know this guy's loving you? Do you know who this guy is?
Wings of Fatness.
I apologize. I was on mute. I do. Okay. So like Wings of Fatness has commented on a previous episode.
I love it.
I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just talking like I see it. That's all I got.
What we do.
I can't tell if there's a little bit of kind of comedic timing with this. Maybe he's thinking the opposite. Maybe I'm the worst analyst. Who knows?
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's true. You are one of the best, so he's not wrong.
Oh, stop it.
Anyway, I had to point that out. So thank you, Wings of Fatness, for jumping in here.
Thank you, Wings of Fatness. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Great name too. But yeah. So what was going through Josh your mind in the beginning of this game? We see, just the timing just seemed a little bit off. A couple, off Cooper Kupp's fingertips. The offense just kind of slumped. The defense was, kind of letting Tom Brady do his thing and move down the field. It was never felt like I was a concern, at least to me. Were you concerned at all in the beginning?
No, not at all. The whole time I was kind of just like, this is the first time where SoFi was really rocking like that with fans in a huge, like I said, almost felt like a playoff game atmosphere. And I think it was just a little bit of jitters. And, we all know the Rams and Sean McVeigh haven't played starters in preseason. And we've seen a lot of those miscues with Stafford and Robert Woods. Today, it just so happened that, it was kind of all around to start the game. Stafford kind of missed a couple of throws. But at no point was I concerned that like, oh, Tampa Bay has our number. I felt cool, calm, and collected the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just since Stafford's been here or what, but I feel the same way where I'm just, I feel great the whole time. Go ahead.
I think a lot of it is Stafford. I tweeted during the game, that Rams fans aren't scared of third down anymore. And even, it used to be with Goff, and I don't mean to detract from Goff. He did a lot of great things in LA, but, I'm not going to trash talk the guy. Mm-hmm. But Stafford's an entirely different player. And what I noticed was, like with Goff, you would see Rams fans would kind of be like, oh, if we can just get it to like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, like that's a little bit manageable. 3rd and 10, and Rams fans are like, we got this. There's no concern, with their weapons and with Stafford and the way the offensive line has been protecting. At no point are you like, oh man, we're not going to do it. We're not seeing the really conservative play calls on 3rd down anymore, where you're like, yeah, you're pretty much just playing to not lose more field position.
Yeah, no, Ryan, let me ask you this and I'll just kind of change it quickly, but is Cooper Kupp a top 5 receiver? Because the dude's balling so far this season, and he's finally, I think, getting the respect he deserves. We always talk about Keenan Allen with the Chargers finally getting the respect he deserves, which rightfully so. Is Cooper Kupp a top 5 receiver, or is he not quite there yet?
He absolutely is. I mean, we've only seen him with Goff up until now. We know what Goff can do, and Kupp did a really good job with what Goff could give him. He was a yak king with Goff. But what really sunk in for me today was that he has fantastic hand-eye coordination. He's able to move his eyes away from the ball before he catches it, which is a really, really nice thing for a receiver to be able to do. And that really sets him apart. And with Stafford's skill set of being able to stretch that field quite a bit more, we're seeing Kupp flourish in that. They've got some really good receivers, and he's standing out head and shoulders above the rest of them. I mean, even though Deshaun Jackson beat him on yards today, he still had almost a 100-yard game, and he was the big reason they kept moving the sticks, which is kind of his role.
Yeah, just so reliable. And it's always been him and Robert Woods as like this duo. And this is no shade at Robert Woods, but it's just like Kupp all of a sudden has found that connection with Stafford and stepped up. Dan, I know you want to say something. I see you over there smirking about it. What's your thoughts on Cooper Kupp?
No, it's funny. I shouldn't say funny. I've heard kind of the slander on Keenan Allen for years and how like underrated he is. And maybe I'm sleeping a bit on Cooper Kupp. To be honest, again, I don't know if I would say he's a top 5 wide receiver, but I mean, the guy is darn good, but I know I'm also out of my lane here. I haven't watched as much of him as I've watched Keenan Allen. But there could only be 5 guys in the top 5 wide receivers.
What's hard is, and then I want to get we'll just do this on the fly. I want to hear each guy's 5. So start thinking about it while I'm talking, because I want to hear each of your 5. Because then we can really, I like to say I think he's a top 5, but when you really get into it, is he? So we'll do that in a second. But what's hard with Cooper Kupp is he doesn't have like those physical tools that you see from like the Julio Jones. That he's not your 4.3, 4.4 guy. He's not 6'4". He doesn't have this huge range of motion. But the dude produces. Like if you're like Keenan Allen, like they're very different size-wise, but an actual skill set, Cooper Kupp and Keenan Allen are actually very similar. Like when you need a third down, need to have it. Cooper Kupp's your guy on the Rams, just like Keenan Allen's your guy on the Chargers. When you need a big play to like change the momentum, Cooper Kupp's your guy on the Rams, like Keenan Allen's your guy on the Chargers. Like Cooper Kupp just produces, even though he doesn't have the size, the intangibles that everyone looks at for these receivers. One thing I thought was crazy, 5 touchdowns in 3 games. First times that's happened for a Ram receiver since 1951. Crazy legs, Elroy. Cooper Kupp's the first one to do it since 1951. That's insane. All right, who wants to start? Who wants to start with their top 5? Because now I'm curious.
Oh.
You're on the spot. Dan, you want to start? Josh. Okay, Josh, start. Let's hear it.
All right, and this is in no particular order, okay?
Okay, that's fair.
That's just too much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I would say in the NFL right now, I would say Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, and then I would throw Hopkins in there, and then Kupp. And I get what Dan's saying, and I'm one of the biggest proponents in the world that Keenan Allen deserves to be talked about like that as well. The dude is just insane. But the way Kupp looks right now, he's playing like a top 5 wide receiver, and we haven't really seen him play quite that well up until this point. But you almost have to wonder, was that Goff? Was that the play calling? Because one thing I've noticed is Kupp getting deep and getting even more separation than he used to on those deep routes, and just like it's no longer just about the yak, like he used to kind of, you'd see a 10-15 yard pass and then he'd run and stiff arm guys and things like that. Now you're seeing more, he's wide open down the field and just catching fly routes or posts. So
yeah, it's like he's added to his arsenal, which is what you want to see. Right. Okay, I'll go last. Ryan, you got your 5?
All right, you got to put Tyreek Hill up there, definitely. Okay. DK Metcalf, I think definitely is up there. Devontae Adams.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is. I mean, one of the things you have to take into consideration with wide receivers, and the reason I like Kupp so much is you got to take into consideration style points a lot. Okay. And Kupp brings swag. A lot of style points. Not just swag, but like he's not the fastest guy out there. He came from Eastern Washington, Western Southern State or whatever. And he's and now he's leading. He's definitely up there. And you got to put Hopkins up there too. So that's my top 5.
Okay, Dan.
Ooh, okay. I think you have to have DeAndre Hopkins. You have to have Devontae Adams. You have to have. I mean, I think you got to have DK at this point in terms of just like how imposing he is. Like the guy's never going to lose one-on-one battles.
Unless he plays Jalen Ramsey.
Unless he, good call. And then from there, 5 is a toss-up to me. Like there are so many guys that can be number 5, but in terms of just consistency, like I think I put Keenan Allen at 5, and the reason for that is just like we had that narrative of him being injury prone, whatever in the past. The guy's had like insane consistency the last 4 years. This is being the 4th year. And the guy is always open, like always open. And he's just a third down machine. Like I don't think anybody's has made third down receptions as he has since the start of last season. I think he and DeAndre Hopkins are the only 2 wide receivers that had 100 receptions in the past 3 seasons, I believe. So the guy's a stud. But again, like I might be sleeping on Cooper Kupp, admittedly so, and I will be the first to accept that.
Yeah.
I also didn't say Stephon Diggs, so I mean, I don't know.
Dude, there's so many good receivers. It's hard. Like it's really unfair to just narrow 5 down because it also is quarterback dependent. Like receiver, you need a quarterback that can get you the ball, and we see some of these receivers go to other teams. Like I would take Julio Jones right now. Like right now, I would take him out of the top 5 just because he hasn't been super productive in 3 weeks in Tennessee. It's not saying he's bad by any means or doesn't have the talent, but the production is not there. We see Kupp's production go way up with Matthew Stafford. We see Keenan Allen's production go up with Justin Herbert. So it's hard, but I think I would have just like off the cuff, Devontae Adams, definitely. Like everyone has been saying, I would have DeAndre Hopkins. Like everyone's been saying, I'd probably have Stephon Diggs just because of his route running ability. And then I might round it out with Keenan Allen and Cooper Kupp. Maybe I'm a homer. I don't know, but I watch enough of both of them that I see what they can do and how much they can change games and how critical they are to their offenses. And I'm okay with putting them in there because other guys can disappear from some weeks. Seems like so far, at least this season, those guys show up every single week. Whereas we've seen Julio Jones not be there certain weeks. We've seen Amari Cooper not be there certain weeks. CeeDee Lamb's a guy we could probably put in that top 5 conversation also, but still a little maybe premature with him. I know, Vikings fan would pine for Justin Jefferson. Bronco fans would pine for Cortland Sutton. Like there's a ton, but for now we'll put Cooper Kupp and Keenan Allen top 5. End of story.
5A, 5B. We're good.
Yeah. Move on. There we go. We can go with 6.
And I got to ask, just because Chargers are going to be in SoFi next Monday, how was SoFi today? What was the atmosphere like? Do you guys know? Did you see it? Wow. Could you tell?
It seemed rocking. I mean, Tom Brady had a really hard time communicating. He was running all the way over to the left, all the way over to the right, all the way to the running back, just to communicate a play. So,
yeah, you could tell on the broadcast how loud it was, and it caused a couple of false starts. So that's what you want.
Yep.
False starts and timeouts. Yeah, dude, it's such a well-built. I mean, let me say this first, and I'll talk about the fan base. It's such a well-built stadium, the way the architecture is, that it just like it hones in that sound, even though it's like open on like the one concourse. But the fans were rocking, man. I mean, it was definitely a raucous crowd. They kept saying it, so it's going to be fun to see the Chargers how their fan base does next week, also. But yeah, it was. I remember just sitting watching it. I'm like, this place is freaking. This is the best home field advantage I've seen for the Rams. They've had some really good games at the Coliseum, but this was the best home field advantage I can think of watching on TV. I don't know if you guys agree with that, Ryan and Josh, but that was my takeaway.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So
I will say I've been to SoFi. I was there for one of the Chargers games, and that place is loud, like loud. I love the way it's constructed. It's very tall to where like everyone's kind of on top of the field. So it was That's a fun place to be, man. For folks who are Rams or Chargers fans, like go check out a game at SoFi. Like that place is like no other.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, let's get a couple more in here, and then we'll sign off for the night. So let's talk about Sean McVay for a second. Ryan, I'll toss this to you. So at the end of the half, or not the end of the half, but I think it was at the start of the third quarter, that touchdown to Deshaun Jackson, and Sean McVay was the first one, sprinted down the sidelines, met him in the tunnel. I mean, how badass is that we have two coaches in LA that are so fired up and just guys that relate to their players, but to see McVay just like in the tunnel, the first one to meet him, how cool is that?
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember another time that a coach has been the first person to congratulate a player on a touchdown that far away from where the guy was standing. I tweeted that I want to see his Fitbit account of his steps, because he was all up and down that field, slapping asses, yelling at people in the face. He was so jacked up, and that's one of the things that sets Sean McVay is a very smart coach, great play caller, among some of the best. One of the things that sets him above the Stefanskis, the Shanahans, is that energy level. He brings that on every game. I saw him at training camp. He brings that every training camp. He is constantly wired. He loves football. He loves watching good stuff happen. We're, closing minute of the game or so, and he is still wired. He wants to get that first down. He wants to get that extra yard. He wants to get that, he's just constantly going, and he's 35. So that helps.
That helps. Yeah, it certainly helps to hear that. Josh, what do you think? Is he the best coach in the NFC West right now?
Oh man, by far, in my opinion.
Woo! Love it.
I've never been a huge Shanahan fan, although they've had a lot of injuries. Sorry. But I've always thought, at the end of the day, your record does speak for itself a little bit. And McVay has it, and Shanahan hasn't. Pete Carroll didn't hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch at the goal line, so he's never going to be in that conversation.
Just for that one play?
never letting it go.
No, never. It was the best moment of my life, almost.
Oh man, that's a true Rams fan. When a best moment is just when a division team loses, not even when your team wins.
Cliff Kingsbury has the Cardinals on a roll right now, but up to this point, it's been nothing. So he's got a lot to prove to me. I think McVay's got the crown right now.
Yeah, it's hard not to be. 4 winning seasons and 4 years as a head coach. So 3 playoff appearances, turn the organization around, change the culture, and he basically runs the show, does what he wants. I want Matthew Stafford. Okay, we're going to go get him for you. And I think that certainly worked out. So Cardinals win today. Seahawks lose to go to 1-2 against a Minnesota team. And the San Francisco 49ers are down 10-0 right now to the Packers. So, a lot of game left to play in that one. So we'll leave that as it is. But both teams at top 3-0. I don't know. Whoa. Sorry about that. I don't know what that was. So as it stands right now, with the Cardinals and Rams up top the division, and then beating the Buccaneers, the former Super Bowl champions, is this Rams team the team to beat in the not just the NFC but the NFL? Dan, I'm gonna start with you.
Honestly, I did not hear your question. Could you repeat that?
I said, is this Rams team not just the team to beat in the NFC, but the team to beat in the NFL after this?
Are they the team to beat in the NFC?
No, the NFL. The whole thing.
No, sorry.
Who is it?
Until look, I try to stay kind of even keel with perspective here. Like the Rams are damn good and they are a contender, no doubt about it. But until teams like the Bucs, until teams like, I know you just beat the Bucs. I'm just saying, until you guys beat them in the playoffs, until the Chiefs aren't there. Those two teams are the cream of the crop. The Rams are good. I'm not going to say they're not good. They're a contender, but I wouldn't say they're the best. Do you guys actually think they're the best team in the NFL?
I mean, all we have to go off of is
No.
these
Hold
3 weeks.
on. I'm putting you on the spot. Do you think that the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now?
I do, yeah. I think before today it was the Bucs, and I think they made the Bucs look like they weren't anywhere near beating the Rams today. Now, I will say the one caveat is it's only week 3. There's still a lot of games to play and a lot to prove, and they're not a finished product. But I think once this team gets fully 100% on a roll, I don't think there's any team that's going to be able to stop them from making it to the Super Bowl.
Ryan?
To piggyback off of that point, I would say that today, the Rams are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, agreed. Through 3 weeks.
I could say the Raiders are the best team in the NFL.
Well, anybody can say anything they want, but what I'm like the way they looked against specifically this defense, this defensive front, Chicago's defensive front, and how they held down the Bucs offense. I mean, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, I think you're freezing up a little bit. Oh, there you go. But yeah, I agree. All we know is what we know in these 3 weeks. Chiefs are 1-2. Bucs just got smoked by this Rams team. Rams are 3-0 with 3 dominant. I mean, against Indy was a closer game, but still a win. What we know is what we know, and I think that right now, this is the team to beat in the NFL. And this offense is just going to get better and better and better.
Hey, I honestly, I would love to see Chargers Rams Super Bowl in LA. Like, how sick would that be? Like, I'm the biggest homer. I'm all about it. I want to see the Rams number 1, like, cool, or number 2, I should say. But like, it's just again, like y'all mentioned, it's early, and like a lot of teams look different now than they do in December and January. Like the Bucs at this point last year did not look like a Super Bowl team. Folks thought that Gronk and Brady were washed. They thought that they weren't going to make the playoffs. Maybe like it was a mistake, and then look what they do. So they look very good. Like no one can take that away from them. It's just hard to extrapolate that and say they're the best team in the NFL, in my opinion.
Dan, the good news about all of this for everybody involved here is that there's 14 more games to go.
There you go.
15 more weeks, 14 games. It's going to be a really good time. Yeah,
well said. So let's wrap it up with that. So Chargers, big win over the Chiefs in Arrowhead to move to 2-1, and the Rams wrap up a great dominant win over the Buccaneers at SoFi to move to 3-0 and tied for first in the NFC West. So, gentlemen, Dan Wolkenstein, Chargers Unleashed, and the LA Football Network, Ryan Anderson, and Josh Kollack, both Rams beat writers for LA Football Network. Fellas, thanks for jumping on. This is fun. Let's do it again next week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ryan. LA 2-0 in week 3. Gotta love it. Ryan, you're the best, man. Thanks so much for having us.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure to check out all of our shows, all of our content at LAFBnetwork.com. And we will talk to you guys throughout the week and be back next week for another reaction to our Chargers and Rams. Have a great rest of your Sunday.